I'm going to start the proceedings with this from Patreon member Johnny, who got in touch via email.
Johnny, he's emailing.
This might be Johnny 5 from Short
Johnny 5, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
Nice to see you doing well.
Yeah.
Flourishing.
Is everyone sleeping on Manchester City a bit this season, says Johnny. I know Wolves don't look in great shape, but Man City looked back to their best on the opening day. Ooh. Vitu, what do you reckon?
I mean, I picked them to win the league, so this question isn't directed at me.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, they did look really good. They looked annoying because they looked as organised as Man City have looked in the past, but they were doing more running. They were being inventive. Didn't like it.
Don't like to see it.
Despite the fact that it was
signed well.
Ruthless. You could say ruthless.
Yeah, they were. And they, I think the worst thing about it is they looked like they were enjoying it. I think sometimes one of our criticisms of the most Guardiola teams, and I use that as like iterations of Man City, when they're at the most Guardiola, they seem quite rigid. They seem like they're playing on memory and they lost a bit of joy about it. And then they signed someone like Tijani Reinders and he breaks from midfield between two people trying to fucking tackle him. And then he lifts the ball over to Rico Lewis, who then plays it first time on the half volley inside for a Haaland tap-in. And you're like, fuck off.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was all the things I said. That was a bit of, not even creativity outright, but like a spark of ingenuity from a new signing who felt so comfortable breaking a line. You don't really see Man City players break lines in the middle as we did.
I know what you mean, yeah.
And just setting everything up, and they looked really fun. And
Well,
the
passing is usually what breaks the line, not a player driving forward.
Yeah, sorry, that's what I meant. It's ready to see someone take initiative and basically do what I've not seen a Man City player do since like prime De Bruyne. Think of Yaya Toure a bit further beyond, and now to Johnny
Partially because they don't need to, because of what you just said a moment ago about the system and all that. But I mean, Reinders, what a Premier League debut, PTD,
and what a signing! And you just got. You sort of look at that team, and you mentioned De Bruyne there. Did you see the footage of him in his first match for his next team?
Did he say "Mamma Mia"?
Well, I think the fans were saying "Mamma Mia." What the flip have we bought?
I mean,
he looked really like he's just fallen to pieces.
Think of the heat down there, and he's a very fair-skinned chap.
Yeah. Also, you've bought a guy with one ankle. What do you expect?
What do you expect? I think. I mean, an incredible signing by the looks of things. If you can sort of keep up that form for the rest of the season, I mean, that's going to be their strength. I think the slight unknowability. They're very unknowable at this moment in time. You never know.
But they will become noble.
They will become knowable very quickly. I think the new challenge is kind of going to be the point for Pep Guardiola. I think the interviews that he sort of gave just before the start of the season, he sounded like a broken man. He sounded like this was sort of season too far. But one Oasis gig.
Well, Peter,
mouthful of beer farts and weed, and he's just ready to get going.
Beer farts,
seriously. There was none of that.
Doesn't beer farts. Like that's all Oasis gigs will be, won't they?
Not true.
Now he's just ready to get going.
I was there at Heaton Park. It was
pure,
wonderful,
lovely.
It was a lovely collection of fine people,
upstanding people.
Genuinely was. But anyway,
good people on both sides.
Go on, unpack that.
As long as
look, I think that they definitely have a spring in their step, and I don't think
Man City or Oasis.
Well, I think one has led to the other.
Okay, right.
And I think that Oasis are powering this Man City side.
But if they get Foden and Rodri right, I mean, that's a hell of a.
Indeed, I mean,
that was annoying when they panned to the side and the people in their civvies. You're like, hold on, what?
not even on the bench.
Why not even wearing jeans?
Yeah.
Well, Foden is
the Avengers are fucking watching them. What's this?
But Foden is an interesting one because he spoke a few months ago about off-field stuff having an impact on his performance, and so on and so forth. And obviously, we don't know where he is with that, and we're certainly not going to start trying to find out and speculate exactly. So,
Detective Marcus.
Well, no,
going
not
through people's bins.
Undetective Marcus. Yeah, I've left
closing up the bins.
Taping up the bins. There's a man. I've got personal problems. There's a man keep taking my bins.
Whoa,
I can't put any. I look like a hoarder. There's just trash around my house.
Birmingham City Council needed help, so I thought I'd get involved. So look, Phil Foden, if he can get back to anything near to what we know he can do, and he could be freed up as well. If you think about the options they have on the right, it could work out that he plays more central in his preferred position.
If you're Phil Foden watching that performance on the weekend, your one overriding emotion is get me out there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Look, because, just not to repeat my point, but because they looked so free and they looked more fun, everyone would want a piece of that, wouldn't they?
Totally. Where does Rico Lewis play? He's just like.
I think that's the point, isn't it?
It is the point. If someone says, "Well, how would you describe Rico Lewis as a player?" I always just say, "Everyone tenenacious."
I
don't. Yeah, he can attack, he can defend. He can real as many people say, a Swiss Army knife of a footballer.
One of the things that was talked about as soon as Guardiola came to Man City was about how everything from the top down would be done a certain way, and I suppose the most obvious side to that would be. The academy sides playing the same system and therefore players reared the same way. And he's been there long enough that we see these players breaking into the team and basically being Guardiola fit players for anywhere. So Rico Lewis could play fullback on either side seemingly and be the person in midfield that Guardiola always wants as that extra man. Or he can start in midfield and drive forward and be the player who's on the byline pulling the ball back for the opening goal.
Yeah.
He's such an incredible player already.
I know.
And you kind of wonder, what position will he be if he goes to another side or, in a world beyond Guardiola, regardless of whether that's Man City or not. And it kind of doesn't matter because, as you say, he's a Swiss Army knife footballer. He has all the tools to do most things.
Yeah. And I mean, if you look at the formation, obviously, he's starting at right back and Oscar Bob is at right wing. And Reinders as well is on the sort of the right side of the three, if you like. The quality they have, and it's just so hard to defend against. It really is. Because the movement and so on. So trying to get back to the question, are people sleeping on Man City a bit? Perhaps mine is more of a doubling down and being stubborn, but maybe one or two people are. I think by the looks of things of journalist predictions and reading things, people seem to have them down as third favourites for the league, and I think that's probably fair. Going on what you had last season, going on how Arsenal and Liverpool have strengthened, I think that makes sense. But Aït-Nouri is a great signing. You have a proper fullback there.
He does the same thing that we were talking about Rico Lewis doing, breaking into midfield.
Exactly, and great having Oscar Bob back in the side. One of the reasons why they were fairly happy for Cole Palmer to leave, I say fairly happy, was because Oscar Bob was going to come in and they thought, there's a player with potentially a higher ceiling or at least an equal one with Palmer.
And also importantly, at the time where Cole Palmer was wanting more game time, they couldn't give it to him because of their options on the right.
Yes.
And they knew in the time that they would be able to give Cole Palmer the right wing entirely, he'd have probably already gone anyway because he'd be, he'd have itchy feet.
Yeah, totally. So an enormous amount of creativity, as we know, but it looks even more this season with Reinders going in there. And Reinders, his is an interesting one. He had the choice when he left the Eredivisie of going for Barcelona or Milan. Now, Barcelona, bigger side, obviously Milan, a huge club, but certainly not the force that Barcelona are in European
But you don't think
competition.
that the way they've sort of treated players like Rafinha, that they're not necessarily the most supportive club for your career?
How do you mean?
Forward?
I mean, Rafinha was brilliant last
He was brilliant, but there was still talk that they were going to get rid of him because Barcelona be Barcelona.
Yeah, but Barcelona are beginning to understand how money and maths work.
The economy. Yeah.
The beginning.
It's basic arithmetic, that club. Just kind of, we can't just, So maybe that was it. But he obviously thought there was going to be more opportunity at Milan, and he was right. But he also said, speaking to Pioli, he said he felt that his role in the team at Milan was going to be suited to his style.
Yeah.
And better for him.
It shows maturity, I think.
Indeed it does.
It does, but there are definitely points when I was watching him at Milan where I misconstrued bits of it as someone who just wanted to be comfortable.
Right.
Because there's a flip side to it, isn't it? And obviously it's been proved completely wrong. But he says you're going to play this role, you're going to be freer and you're going to do what you want. that can sometimes be a bad thing.
Yeah.
I know what you mean, and it was
This is the
interesting.
Jack Grealish season then.
but he, you know, what is he? 27.
Yeah.
And he went there only 2 or 3 seasons ago.
So he signed with them in 2023. I remember speaking to a Dutch mate of mine during the 24 Euros, and he was like, he's suddenly become a brilliant player.
Right.
Like in the space of that one season, he's suddenly like
Late developer, you might say.
Yeah, we can hang our hat on this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So exactly. Yeah. So when he does move to Milan, obviously he's a young man, but he's not. If we're so used to people moving when they're 17, 18, 19 kind of thing.
There are younger players in their earlier 20s who are, you know, not just starting for their countries but integral to their country. Starting for their clubs but integral to their countries.
And
as
you
well,
would think with Reinders now at Man City under Guardiola, albeit it could just be this season, his ceiling is very, very high indeed. So to try and again get back to Johnny's question, then maybe we are. I mean, time will tell. I know it's boring and an obvious thing to say, but certainly after that first game, it does look quite something.
Yeah.
But with Guardiola, this is something that we haven't seen him do before: is reinvent a side and bring them back from a disappointing season, because at Bayern, as you would suggest, has it all his own way. Doesn't win the Champions League, of course, but very impressive on the pitch. Barcelona is the other one that is in his CV that you think when it started to go wrong. Yeah, I think they won. Did they win the cup in his last season? The Copa del Rey maybe, but they didn't win the league, didn't win the Champions League, and it just sort of was beginning to kind of peter out, and he wasn't there to again, refresh the side, and that was it. His time, there were shorter stints at Manchester City. The start wasn't great for his standards, but he obviously got there, and they've been absolutely magnificent. The only blip was finishing second to Liverpool that season, and they didn't play badly. Just Liverpool had to be stunningly good as well. Now, after last season, it's the first time it's happened. Can he arrest that, and can he do it? And if he does, it will be yet another feather in his cap, because we've seen him do everything else. One of the greatest managers, one of the greatest men in the history of football. If he can do that, I think.
And that was part of like Alex Ferguson's great skill, wasn't it?
Yes, exactly.
And where Pep Guardiola sort of fell down last season is that he just thought there was more juice left in a few players that were very dry.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
Mothballs coming out.
And do you also think it's a shift in philosophy from Guardiola, because it's almost not as philosophical as it was before? Because I think, I imagine that when you're someone who is constantly at the tactics board, trying to reinvent sides, trying to, going from the side he originally starts with to, for example, 4 centre-backs in your back four, playing a certain way, quite structured, quite kind of big men game, to borrow like an NBA term. And then you end up refashioning your squad since the start of the year to look as they did on the weekend, where one of your main signings of the summer is Ryan Cherki, who is the most skillful flair player in the world right now. Not someone you'd associate with Guardiola.
No, that's what I've
But
felt,
he signs him, he brings him on, and obviously he scores on his debut. But he's an X factor player.
Yes.
And you'd always think that Guardiola in this situation wants known quantities.
Yeah.
And that might be an example in one player of a complete shift of like maybe even Guardiola just remembering why he loves football.
Yeah,
'Cause
let's have some fun.
It's fun, yeah.
Alan Saint-Maximin's a free agent.
There you go.
Actually, he's not. He's signed for someone else.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, that's a shame. But yeah, I think,
Mexico? He's gone to Mexico.
Has he really? Why don't you have a little Google while I'm there? Sorry, I'll cover for you. But, I think, I think that point you make about that's why I don't think they're going to win the league, is because I think Guardiola. Football moves on, even from the greats. They'll still, even if Guardiola's managing in 10, 15 years' time, he'll still be a good manager with good ideas. But it's very, very difficult to stay at the very top for that long.
Yeah.
Everyone, I think it's reasonably common thinking that our managers can't keep their ideas for more than say 10 years. Like Jonathan Wilson thinks most of probably the very best, maybe 10 years at the top, and then football starts to bring in new innovations and so on, as it does.
Same with bands, you get 10 years or 3 albums.
Yeah.
You can't go longer than that. You got to retire.
Well, you can always do a reunion tour. But I think that's, with Guardiola, it could happen even to him. And that's something that seemed inconceivable. We'll find out this season, but his Barcelona side, it felt like they'd completed football, and it thought, this is it, But of course, when Luis Enrique wins the treble with Barcelona, it's a different vibe about the team, and Jurgen Klopp, different philosophy, different all this, that, and the other. Guardiola, I feel this is not peak Guardiola anymore at Man City, as you've just described there, Vish. I wonder if there's an element of let's try and throw a Ryan Shirky in there, throw a bit of caution to the wind. Let's do it. Or, as you framed it more positively, hang on a minute. Let's get back to basics. Let's, really, indulge is perhaps not the right word.
He's probably just got one eye on his legacy at Manchester City, and he didn't want to leave last season, so he just wants to have one last season.
I genuinely think he's on the cusp of doing something pretty special with this group.
Yeah,
to just turn it around completely.
Just because of the squad depth and the minimal drop off between starters and non-starters. I really do think that if Man City win the league this season, they win the league the season after that, and they may also win the league season after that.
Are Arsenal finishing second in all those?
Yeah, because I'm sorry, I realise we're dwelling on this, but for the reasons that you say that you don't think Man City are going to win the league because it's maybe a bit more carefree, are exactly the reasons why we think Arsenal aren't going to win the league, because they're not carefree enough. And I feel like this Man City squad and Guardiola now have the right balance of both.
Interesting. All right, coming up after this, should Newcastle United and Aston Villa be worried?
From Charles on Instagram, did you know that players can't stand 1 metre from the wall at a free kick?
I do now.
Ludicrous.
I mean, what a weekend for strange refereeing decisions. Not strange, potentially good refereeing decisions, but just in this sense, do you want to explain what actually happened? Because you remember all the details, don't you, Marcus? It was Mark Gay, wasn't it?
I don't.
Don't trick me.
It was Palace, of course, at Stamford Bridge. Eberechi Eze's lining up the free kick, fairly central, slightly to one side. Chelsea have a wall protecting one side of the goal, and then a smattering of players the other side of the goal, just to confuse the goalkeeper. And Mark Gay's in amongst them, and he's pushing and shoving. And he's doing that thing that we see players do where they try and usher a defender out the way to create a little bit of space. So, for the free kick. So Eberechi Eze can rifle the ball in, which he duly did. The pace of the ball takes that in. Sanchez may have been disappointed not to save it, but Eberechi Eze, bang! And it was 1-0 to Crystal Palace. And Mark Gay was pulled up not because he ushered... was it Mark Cucurella? Anyway,
it was Nicholas Jackson.
Oh, Nicholas Jackson.
It was shoulder to shoulder. At no point does he put his hands on him.
Yeah,
shoulder to shoulder. Yeah.
So he leans into him and basically, as I say, ushers him out the way to create that space. That wasn't the misdemeanor. The reason why it was pulled up is because Mark Gay ventured within 1 metre of the wall, the Chelsea wall. And you saw the referee explaining to Gay why it was going, because Gay was looking at him going, you could see Gay mouthing going, it wasn't a foul. It wasn't a foul. And he's like, no, that's not what you've been pulled up for. You have gone within 1 metre of the defensive wall for this free kick. And this law has been in place for a few years now. I think it may have been 2019 when it came in. So it's sort of newish, but it's not that new. But it seemed to stump a lot of people, because on Match of the Day 2, Danny Murphy and Joe Hart were saying that when the ball went in, they were both arguing, apparently saying that one was saying, well, of course it's a goal. And the other was saying, no, it was a foul. And it was like, actually,
neither.
It's a mute debate, because that's not why it was pulled up. So a lot of confusion. Gutted for Eze, not getting another free kick.
It's a lovely lashing, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a good one. And what could be his last game for Palace, we shall see. So I didn't know that. Although when it happened, I was like, oh, was there a law? It's one of those laws where you feel like, is this acted upon? Does the referee?
I feel like the referee. It felt like one of those things where it's like, no one's noticed this rule. That's gonna be my pet project for the season, because we would have seen it. We should have seen it last season. We should have seen it the season before.
And maybe it didn't. Maybe they didn't need to, because if Eze whacks the ball over the bar or into the wall and it's cleared, maybe referees sort of say, because this is what I mean. This is what I was saying yesterday about VR. They're the laws and the spirit of the laws. That's absolutely it.
And then there was like loads of people on your social, name your social media, posting videos of times when the exact same thing happened and it was not, was not ruled out. So it's the idiosyncrasies of how refereeing is applied. But
even the laws of the land. I mean, there's certain. Like what people say, you walk through the streets of London, you can smell people smoking weed and stuff. I mean, I don't want to sound too right wing about the whole thing, but it's not that uncommon. And people say, that's against the law.
The laws of the land are there to like stop disorder.
Yes,
they're not there to like. I was going to say not there to rule out joy, but maybe the weed thing is.
But there you go. But that's the spirit of the law, is what you're talking about. And this is in football. So this is my point.
But this is in football where it's just change them. Like you mentioned there that we've not seen it since it's been brought in since 2019.
Not that I can remember. Perhaps there was an obvious one last season. I've forgotten about it.
Sure, but we all of us around this table cover a lot of football.
Oh yeah.
You'd think we would have
seen it. And we smoke it. No, we don't.
Yeah. Well, you think we would have seen it.
Yeah.
And the fact that we haven't makes it, by proxy, a redundant law.
And also,
but not necessarily.
Yes, because what is the issue here? What is the problem?
Well, I think that they were stamping out people. They're stamping out the whole kind of, did he push the wall over? Was there a foul? Was he?
But he did none of those things, though, did he? Really, it was as we described in the last show yesterday.
It's a preventative
boot on boot, man on man action.
I'm going to read a tweet.
It's a preventative law.
I'm going to read a tweet from an account at John Mark Sisman.
Right.
About the and he quote retweets the video of the goal and with the clarification that it had been ruled out because Mark Gay was within a metre of the Chelsea wall.
Yeah.
This is the stupidest rule implemented in the game. 1, it's your free kick. Notwithstanding offside, etc., you should be able to stand wherever you want. 2, the wall is not actually a thing. It's a tactical concept. It has no legal status. It's a total... On the rule itself, he says it's a totally arbitrary thing to legislate.
But it sounds like it does have a legal status because... But where does a wall exist? It says it's more than... It's 3 or more players. A wall is in the rules, right?
Could you have a wall at a corner? You can't get near it.
But so is it 2 men and a man lying down? We've got new walls now.
Well,
so is that a wall?
How many walls can you have?
2 men and a man lying down. Is that a wall?
Yeah.
2 is technically the smallest wall you can have.
You can have a one-man wall.
If you could have a one-man wall, then no
can't
one's
go
allowed
anywhere
within a
near
metre of
him.
anyone.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I agree. Get rid of it.
It's bitty. It's a bitty little
Because
rule.
I wondered, actually, you could, within reason, create a concave wall. Because you can still, if you curve it right, you can still be within 10 yards away from the ball.
Yeah. And just block everything.
Yeah.
And they'll have to hack your hands down, like in that game when you were a kid. Like the princess slept for 100 years, 100 years.
Did you grow up as a samurai? What are you talking about?
I don't know what this is. This is another.
It's about it's like a Sleeping Beauty sort of game.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
And you hack down the.
I was thinking of Kiss Chase when you said.
And it's the forest. You're always thinking of Kiss Chase.
Yeah.
You have the forest as the arms, and the knight comes round in his horse, and then he hacks all of the arms down.
Pops up,
and the lantern worm pops up, and you got to deal with it.
Okay, fair enough.
Hopefully that made the edit yesterday, but if it didn't, there you go.
I'm sure it did.
You're not allowed within 1 yard of certain worms, are you?
The worm.
Well, it's for your own benefit.
Exactly, yeah.
I think we've answered that. Get rid of it.
Get rid of it.
Yeah.
Crying out loud.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question from Supernova on X. After the match on Saturday, should both Newcastle and Aston Villa fans be worried that they both may be lacking on the attacking front? Newcastle need 2 strikers, and Villa offered nothing in attack at all.
Villa were down to 10 for a bit.
They were.
I think even previously, before that, they
looked very poor.
Yeah.
Well, Newcastle United do have, at the time of recording, one of the best strikers in the world.
They do, yeah.
And they refuse to play him.
I know.
Refuse to play him.
Absurd.
Silly tactical decision.
I think
from Eddie Howe.
He's going to play.
Silly.
He's going to have to go back there with his tail between his legs.
I think he will. I think he'll stay. Personally, I think it'll just be one of those kind of big club problems that you got to deal with sometimes.
I think so as well. But so Newcastle though, should they be worried? Because
yes.
Okay. Why is that then?
Because watching Anthony Gordon do what he did at the weekend,
getting a man sent off, lovely
stuff
forward play,
just bouncing off him. Like the ball was going in, it just got boing, and it was like, oh no, and it was. Jules Breach was interviewing him at the end and basically asking, is this a real issue? And he went, yeah, it is actually. Yeah, it's a bit annoying. It's a bit annoying, but we're a good group. I mean, and Anthony Gordon, he's great running into space and stuff, but you wouldn't back in one-on-one against the keeper anyway. So, yeah, and on the other side, like the only highlight from that match, I think, for Villa was Matty Cash, who played out with his goddamn skin.
Yeah.
He kept a lot of the Newcastle team very, very quiet indeed. Like Emery said before the start of the season that Villa need to master the defensive side of football this season in the Premier League, and good God, they seem like they've started in that particular way. Like Newcastle had a lot of chances, and the keeper was very much on form.
Yeah, I think for Villa, I mean, they do have forward players, and they've got Watkins there, so.
He's not quiet though.
Yeah, but I would just say, I would say to Villa fans, it's early days, and hopefully they'll come good. They're in the Europa League, not the Champions League this season, and maybe. Obviously, they'd rather be in the Champions League, but it's less demanding, as we know. And Villa will be probably one of the favourites for the Europa League, you would fancy.
More options to play yourself into form a little bit when you're playing against...
Quite possibly, yeah. I mean, indeed, yeah, they can rotate a little bit more, I think, is fair to say. Now, obviously, with the two boys they got in on loan last season, in the second half of the season, they had some more options and so on. I thought Villa might do a little bit more business in the window. I know there's still time. So my concern for Villa would be, has that squad been refreshed enough for them to get back in the Champions League spots and kind of have the kind of season that we've come to expect from Emery's Villa. So I get the sort of slight concerns there. For Newcastle, it is all about that striker situation. And it's such a shame because last season they win the League Cup, qualify for Champions League, you think, right, they're going to kick on. And this season you're thinking this could be really good. And then nobody wants to go there, or they'd rather go other places because, that was clearly the situation. If they can get one or two maybe before the window shuts, perhaps. But it would be a great shame if if he does indeed go and they don't get anybody to replace him, or he sulks and that situation doesn't get repaired, to have a team with a good defence, one or two players aging, fine, but still a good defence. You can get a tune out of them still this season. A very good midfield. Alanga's there as well, adds a little bit extra something. You've got Gordon, who had his injury problems last season.
But he can still stretch the
Yeah, we know as a winger he's really good as well. If you have a gaping gap up front, not too dissimilar to Arsenal last season, where you think, blimey, if Arsenal had a quality centre forward, could they have beaten PSG? Could they have stayed in the league a little, the title race a bit longer?
But sometimes it's not even a quality centre forward; it's a centre forward.
Well, somebody,
though, isn't it?
And obviously, Wilson was the only other one, and he's left as well.
Yeah, Osula's not really quite there. I think in an ideal world, they probably would have sent him out on loan somewhere. But yeah, it's difficult. I mean, you sort of it's quite sad sort of seeing Jacob Murphy coming on 70 minutes, because obviously he's had his place taken. He might be back in the side. You never know. Come sort of.
What do you think?
Time.
What do you think, Vish?
I think you solve both teams' problems with a swap deal that will never happen and shouldn't happen. But if Watkins goes to Newcastle and Anthony Gordon comes to Aston Villa, you get Villa have basically lost all their width.
Yeah.
They played so narrow. I love John McGinn. I don't like him out wide for that very reason. Despite the fact that he works hard. Morgan Rogers is obviously someone who actually influences play in the middle bit of that left-hand side rather than that left. They obviously couldn't get Rashford.
Well, the width has been provided by Cash, as Pete said.
But he needs someone.
Yeah.
He would prefer someone ahead of him.
Yeah.
They obviously couldn't get Rashford. They might still get Asensio back. I know there's been talk of that. I'm not sure. At the time, Tuesday today, if that's still a big thing. They've lost all kinds of width. They don't seem to trust Marlon. So that's feels like it should be an option, but it isn't. Leon Bailey obviously is fallen down the pecking order, and I think he's about to go anyway. And then with Newcastle, they just need someone to be a focal point and allow other people, around him to work. It feels like you're kind of wasting Alanga by not having someone further forward who he can even just run off.
Even if you did like a cheap £10 million clodding Peter Lovenkrantz or something.
Yeah,
where's Andy Carroll?
Antoine Sibierski.
Get Carroll.
It's almost kind of like basic
striker's instincts. You know what I mean? Like, it's just,
but like something like like a basic decor. Like, who
was the Danish guy? Barcelona side, was it Branthwaite or
Osselou? Fucking give us an Osselou.
Yeah,
but it's that thing of like, what's the best way to like furnish a room? Get the TV and work from there.
Yes.
What's everything going to? What are the couches going to face? The TV, right? Get the TV first.
Yes.
Work out where you're going to put the TV and then sort the furniture out.
They are.
I love this Marie Kondo
Yeah.
What's Chippo Motin doing?
just something like just a big old clodding journeyman Brazilian. Come on.
Get Hosselu.
Jardel.
Get Hosselu. Go get Hosselu back. He'd come back.
That'd be class, actually. Hosselu. What
There you
about
go,
turn?
see?
Yeah.
Just blooming heck, Newcastle. Sort your recruitment out. There's a few options for you.
Yeah.
All right, coming up after this, all the Premier League overachievers are losing their best players. Got a question from Matt on X. With all the top teams cherry-picking overachieving teams' best players, is this good for the league? I.e., Bournemouth losing Kirkesh, Wolves losing Cunha, Brentford losing Mbumo and possibly Wissa, Crystal Palace potentially losing Gay and Eze, and Isak is refusing to play for Newcastle. Is there more disparity than ever before? I feel like this is kind of routine, really.
Yeah, this happens all the time, doesn't it? I think the difference is that because last year, as Matt points out, there were so many different teams. Bournemouth do well, Newcastle and Crystal Palace pick up trophies, and do so with such style and panache that it just happens. Palace lost Elise before that. How did Palace, build themselves back up? They took Wharton from Blackburn. It's kind of just the food chain, really, in action.
Yeah, it is.
It's definitely funnier when a Saudi-backed Newcastle, it happens to them.
It's hilarious.
Isn't it? It's
That's the
absolutely-
funniest bit.
with their green and white away kit, which they've gone back to again.
Yeah. Now they've, the Saudis have definitely lost interest, and I'm not very much enjoying, but it's quite funny that people just assume that money equals success. It doesn't, because people with money generally get disinterested after a while.
But you know what, though, Pete? It's funny you mentioned Saudi Arabia. That actually that's one of the things that stops this cherry picking from happening. A player that would normally go to a bigger club in that league go, actually, no, I'm going to take the Saudi money.
The actual
do you know
league
what I mean?
itself, right.
And I don't want to see that happen, but with
every big ticket item lately, there has been a Saudi kind of bid or a
look at
Saudi.
Ivan Toney. Ivan Toney was going to be cherry picked by I don't know, Spurs or Arsenal, whoever it was going to be. Brentford were going to lose him, and for whatever reason that deal didn't happen, or it wasn't taken, or as we understand it, and then Toney goes to Saudi Arabia instead. So there is that actually, but I appreciate that's not what Matt is honing in on. But Vish, you're right. It is the food chain. I think we see it. It probably goes through more phases. I mean, I know Chelsea have been stockpiling talent, and Man City, I don't know, have been stockpiling talent.
It feels like Man City do it from further afield as well.
Yeah,
so
but-
it's less concentrated because the last season. I think the frustrating thing as well, just from a football fan's perspective, regardless of whether you support those clubs or not, is it's nice having loads of different teams that have their fun players.
Yes.
And if those fun players then get channeled into a select few teams, you see less of them.
Totally. It was why we wanted, like Gibbs White staying at Forest was good for the neutral, I think.
Yes, yeah.
Even though I'm sure
point,
he could have done something at Spurs and whatnot, but
we're still going to see a lot of Eze at Spurs if they get that deal over the line. But it's not going to be the same.
Totally, I would love Eze to stay at Palace, but it's he thinks he's got more chance of winning more trophies at Spurs. He will definitely play Champions League if he goes to Spurs, of course. So you can understand it. I think the pull of the Champions League is there, but I think, but also though when you get a side like Manchester City. And more specifically Manchester City, really, what they're doing with their academy and so on, well, that does benefit other teams. McAtee going to Forest, for example. Liam Delap, he's at Chelsea now, but, Ipswich benefited from him. So...
even Amari Hutchinson going to Forest as well is an example of this we'll just pick him off you because you've been relegated. So.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So it's a funny old thing, the ecosystem in the Premier League and in this country. I think you would probably find fans from European leagues. I don't know whether they would get annoyed or they would think, well, thanks very much for all that money. But that's where the cherry picking also really happens with the Premier League at the moment. Because
if you're just a fan of Italian football and the way Serie A has been picked apart over the last 20 years almost. You'll probably be looking at that question and be like, see how you like it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it's not nice, is it?
And look, who knows? In 20 years' time, maybe Serie A will be back on top and Premier League will be lacking. I don't know. I wouldn't see it now, but things do change. But I think we would all get frustrated in this country because Serie A is a good example. Serie A was the best league in the 90s in Europe, no doubt about that. And maybe even into the noughties as well. And now, as you say, it's kind of roles reversed. I mean, Kevin De Bruyne kind of going, oh, maybe I'll have a bit of a swan song at Napoli. That used to be the Premier League in the 90s with players of his quality. So I think cherry picking. I mean, but teams abroad do get their fair share of the cash, by the way, because
we spread the wealth. We're very generous.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that.
Yeah. What's up with you? Yeah. You get yours. Don't worry.
It's a trickle down economy.
So
we don't see anything from the Schengen. Is a bit for you.
Portuguese league is a prime example of this. Now, Victor Gyökeres, we'll have him back on these shores. Thanks very much. Now you're starting to prove yourself as a goal scorer.
But, so that is.
So I think I don't see this, Matt, as particularly different to any other time. And I grew up in Scotland, by the way, and Rangers and Celtic were terrible for this. The best example was the Hearts player. It's a long time since I thought about this. It was Johnston. I want to say Alan Johnston. Right. Forgive me if that's wrong, but he scores a hat-trick at Ibrox and Hearts win 3-0. An outrageous performance, an outrageous result. And no sooner are the Rangers going,
whip.
We'll put a stop to this. Neil McCann was another one.
Do you remember Helicopter Sunday? Where Scott McDonald scores for Motherwell against Celtic that basically gives Rangers the title.
Yes, yeah.
Maybe the next season, Celtic we'll have you.
Yeah, we can't have that done to us, yeah. So, sadly it goes on. But you were going to say something, though, Vish, before I went down a Scottish lane there.
I suppose the one thing you want from those clubs, and it's helped by the fact that two of them have European football, of the teams that we talked about there, is that you don't want those teams to suddenly become almost shop windows for whether it's talent lower down the pyramid or overseas talent, where they know they're just going to be picked up by clubs. Yeah. And I suppose that would be the problem with PSR, is that you're more encouraged to get players in who will benefit you for the short term, but then you sell on. Yeah. So maybe building becomes a bit harder, and not even harder, but just doesn't become, it's just not a priority for you moving up the league. It's sustaining your comfortable mid-table position and, making a profit every PSR window.
Well, yeah, I mean, being a Fulham fan, I know exactly what you're talking about. But you've got to try and sign those players in that sweet spot. I mean, look at Palace with Jean-Philippe Mateta up front. Yeah. Is he a striker that are Arsenal going to go for him? Probably not. Maybe, I don't know. You could see, Spurs if they. I'm the type of clubs that he's not being linked, and we don't think he's going to go. There's no reports saying this, but it's those types of clubs. And actually, if you can make a fair wage at mid-table Premier League clubs, which you can now, it gives them that just a little bit more leverage in the deals. You can say, well, look, hang on, you're earning all right here. We can add a few more, a little bit more money to your pay packet. They can stick around because that's the Premier League's pulling power. They might go abroad, but can they match those wages?
Oh, the smart money for anybody in Eastern Europe who are coming over. Most agencies will place you in the Championship rather than Italy or France or anything.
There you go. You see.
Yeah.
So yeah, Matt, the cherry picking does go on, but on the wider scale, England is cherry picking a lot of talent.
Yes, we've got a lot of cherries.
An awful lot of cherries. Bournemouth are called the Cherries, for example.
Yeah, there you go.
You've got a whole side.
Cherry picking from the cherries.
Dedicated to cherries.
Yeah. From Stuart on Instagram, if you could watch only one match for the rest of your life, what match would it be?
Oh.
I've taken this question.
The Europa League final, Man United 0, Spurs 1. What a barn burner.
What was the match that where a Man United player got Burpo in his mouth?
Oh, Ashley Young.
Yeah.
You'd want to rewatch that entire game for that moment.
Dirty. Yeah. Vish, you had an answer?
This is the only question on the mailbag that I've made notes for.
If you haven't got the 99 Champions League final down, then you're not...
So I do,
right,
but to rewatch, I feel like... So a lot of random matches stick in my head, and I think if I'm going to rewatch a game from start to finish, I'd want the journey. And the journey of that game is good, but it's not a great football match.
Manchester derby, Owen with the winner.
Well, so I take the 08 Champions League final because as a progression,
against Chelsea?
Yeah, as a progression of a story.
Best Champions League final.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not. No, it's not. It's a poorer Champions League final.
No, it's not. It was a better game, but also you get the sweetness of Manchester United winning it, and just before that, John Terry missing a penalty.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah, very good point.
I'd take the 4-2. These are Manchester United games. As a Manchester United fan, I'd take over the Champions League final '99. I would take the semi-final second leg against Juventus.
In Turin, okay.
Yeah. 4-2 against Arsenal in 2004? 2005? Yeah, at Highbury. Yeah.
John O'Shea, Dink.
Lovely stuff. And then I have a couple of games. I have 2 games, neutral games for me. I have the 2004 Liverpool 2 Arsenal 1 game, the Neil Mellor game,
Yeah.
the winner, which I actually did on our Greatest Games. I think the first time we met of my
Yeah.
the one game where I was like, this has everything's technically some of the best players in the world at that point. Tactically, an amazing game.
Xavi Alonso goal?
Yeah, Xabi Alonso goal. I think he opens the scoring. Yeah, and then Vieira scores a lovely goal.
Lovely move, yeah.
And then Mellor scores this volley at the end. My second game is from the 2019 Championship playoffs. Leeds Derby, the second leg at Ellen Road.
Oh, yeah.
It was an astonishing match, like, incredibly emotional, a lot of action, proper like blood and thunder.
Yeah.
Really good players on show as well. Mason Mount scores in that game. It was the best of the playoffs and the best of the championship.
Yeah.
And I would encourage people, if you don't remember that game, to go and watch the highlights that are still on Sky. They don't do it justice. The full thing was exhausting.
Yeah.
And that would be on my list as well.
That'll be up there. Peter?
Has to be said. I mean, obviously the Carabao Cup final from a few months ago. And I know I would watch that every day for the rest of my life because I am watching it for every day for the rest of my life.
But you being you, I thought you were going to go the Carabao Cup final that
we
Man
lost
United won, because you've got to keep your feet on the ground.
No, definitely the
4-3 against Liverpool.
But the one that sticks in the head for just heroism and just bloody minded, like F you, we're going to win this football match was World Cup '94, Italy, Ireland. Just because Paul McGrath.
Really? Yeah, that had a big impression on you.
A beautiful, romantic kind of vision of a flawed genius just absolutely saying, F off, we're winning this football match.
Yeah, nice.
That's a nice one.
Just something else. Just really, really good. Like a real ragtag bunch of, let's face it, not Irishmen a lot of the time.
I mean, McGrath very much was.
McGrath very much was. One of the few. But a lot of like checking grandmother's passports kind of vibes in the team. But from start to finish, what a manager, what a performance.
You really shout on that by saying
what a
that.
New Jersey sunshine.
Irish people would have gone, oh, that's lovely. And you say that, and they go, hang on a minute.
As they said at the time, it was a lot of, has your grandmother ever drank a pint of Guinness? Right. You can come play for Ireland. There we go.
Unbelievable.
What's yours?
What's yours? Yeah.
The friendly when England beat them 5-0.
I swear, if you pick a
Speller.
Nations League game, I'm going to flip this table.
Spain 2, England 3 in the Nations League. What a victory that was.
What a victory
so I would
that was.
obviously have Fulham 4, Juventus 1. I have to say that. I have to say that. England 4, Netherlands 1 at Euro 96.
Yeah, gorgeous game. Yeah.
A gorgeous
The one
game.
spoiled it though.
Did it? Because it
Well, no,
knocked
'cause it
Scotland
knocked
out.
Scotland.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah, good point. That's a very good point. I forgot about that aspect of it. Yeah, well done. Well done.
Well done, everybody. So yeah, those were great games. They were great games. Yeah. Or if I'm going to be really me about this, England won, Colombia won at 2018. That penalty shootout win.
Right,
England
yeah,
had.
okay, yeah.
That was so
That
emotional.
was special.
That was
and it was very emotional.
I think that was the biggest cheer I've ever, as an England fan, because obviously we never won anything. Le Tournoi! I'd have
all the matches of Le Tournoi.
You don't even get the Roberto Carlos free kick because you're watching all the England games.
But you get that lovely Ian Wright goal, though, against
Yeah.
Italy.
Yeah, true.
I think something we can all get behind.
Yeah.
There we are. Thank you very much for listening to the Football Ramble Mailbag, part of the Acast Creator Network. Vish and I are back tomorrow alongside Luke for another classic ramble, if I do say so myself. Please do send us your messages. You're putting it down.
Sorry, we've got a shared document on the show today for the questions.
Yeah.
And I put a little picture of Gumby in there for you.
Yeah, and you keep writing the word
Gumby.
piss for some reason.
I wrote
Gumby.
to be fair to Pete, I wrote the second piss.
Oh, did you?
The second piss has hit the word document. The second piss has hit the Gumby on the live doc. Thank you for listening to the Football Ramble Mailbag, part of the Acast Creator Network. Me, Vish and I, and Marcus are back tomorrow alongside Luke.
Are you back?
No.
No, well, don't say that then.
It's written for you, not for me.
Yeah, okay. I've already said
You're
that.
the Gumby of the Ramble, buddy.
Piss off. Do send us your responses, opinions, and questions for next week's mailbag, and subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your pods. See you tomorrow.